se va. Sáquenme la botella que funda para gastarle. Esta noche tú y yo nos vivimos la película. Luce cámara, la acción después en mi recámara. En el duelo no se sabe quién ganará. So baile y bebe. Ese seguro y retrocede. Que me encanta la manera en que tú lo mueves.
Solo pégate un poquito, mami, que yo quiero enseñarte lo que yo tengo para ti. Lo que tengo para ti. Sé que te va a encantar como meto yo.
What is going on, Cowboy Nation? Welcome back to Primetime Studios. Like always, I'm your host, Primetime Phil, and like always, our co-host, Gametime Bryan. Gametime the other way. Yes, you're going that way. I'm going this way. It seems like you would get used to it, but you never really do. Seriously.
Well, now I'm on the other side. It looks like so.
No. I don't think so. You've always been on that side.
All
side.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. But anyways, welcome back. I see.
This side. There you go, right there. I'm getting used to it.
So anyways, the nice overlay that will definitely represent the off-season the Dallas Cowboys are having. Welcome to the roller coaster that is the off-season. It hasn't been a stop yet in the sense of really hasn't been exciting. There hasn't been no ups and downs. There's just been a nice just glide ride. You can get on the ride, you can get off the ride. Yeah, it's just a lazy river type of roller coaster right now, and hoping that it picks up, of course, with the draft ahead. This is where Dallas Cowboys, of course, definitely ramp it up, and of course our coverage for the Dallas Cowboys also ramping it up as we will bring you coverage from the NFL draft in how long is it? Not even 2 weeks.
Not even 2 weeks. That's fair. I mean, we'll be wrapping.
This will be day 3, right? Yeah.
Well, what's that, Saturday? I'll be on the way home at this point. I'll be driving.
I'll be in the other one, just like enjoying the evening.
Whatever.
Yeah, I don't think you. I think you hit it nailed right on the head, man. I'm gonna be right there at the bar, just enjoying that stuff.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man.
So, anyways, I want to talk. Of course, a lot of we have things that we do talk about because, of course, news just pops up. If you're an NFL content creator, in the sense, you always have something come up, but if you're a Dallas Cowboys content creator, it definitely ramps up even more because of the war that is going on. And we got to stick up for our brother, and even though we're new to the war, we are very new recruits in the front line, kind of with our little sticks and stuff like that. We're like, I don't even get a whole shield. Like, you're just like, you guys share a shield. You're just like
you know what I think of when I hear all this shit? I think of Anchorman. And
turn Bryan up a little
bit.
All the
different anchors meet at this fucking parking lot.
Bryan, bring up yours. Bring up yours on your side. Your volume.
My volume is where it always is. It's all the way up.
Okay, it's not.
I know yours sounds off. It's a new microphone, people.
Check.
You're dealing with.
Yeah. Check.
So
1, 2.
Yeah.
All right.
But
see on mine, you're maxed out, so that's why it's like.
Yeah.
Let me try to see if I can bring you up.
What do you call it? I'm clipping. I'm on the edge of clipping.
Okay, let me see if I can bring you up a little bit with the. Yeah, definitely. I love the feedback, guys. Give me the feedback because that helps me. I'm gonna bring you up and see if maybe that will help with your weak ass voice.
It's somehow my fault.
It is. He's very quiet. If you ever watch Gametime on his show, that's the one thing he is, and the very adjective that describes him is quiet.
Yeah, I'm quiet. So it's my
quiet New Jersey guy.
He's got new shit he's dealing with.
I do. I got a nice little glowing microphone. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. What?
The other one was ghettoed up.
It seems like yours is up too loud. Only because you kind of distort at the end.
Oh, I see.
But it's not horrible, so that's why I didn't say nothing to you. I figured it's a work in progress.
That's
the one thing about getting new stuff, people.
Yeah, you got to test it out.
Anybody that's getting into it, it's great, and then it's like, oh my god, I got something new.
Check 1, 2. All right, cool. I'm bringing mine down a little bit.
A little better,
There we go. Check 1, 2, 1, 2.
Bring it down and bring
it up. Yeah, exactly.
I think you were blowing me out.
Okay. Wow. Here we go. Now we're gonna end the show there, and then on that one.
Alrighty.
All right.
Thanks for coming. Don't forget to tip your waitress. Alrighty then. Anyway, so how's everybody doing tonight? I know I'm doing good.
I am doing well. Saturday, of course, the draft is creeping closer and closer. We're getting news every time with Mark bringing it up, of course, and so he gets excited. I saw his video that you were talking about, where he was talking about just the vicinity of where we were going to be at the NFL draft. Let's talk about this. Let's talk a little bit about this if people don't know.
I don't know too much about it. I was working people while they were, having a live chat. No, I'm joking. But yeah, supposedly it's real close. Now, I don't know what he's talking about by broadcasting from in the room. Yeah, that's not my idea of.
No.
I mean, yeah, I
I came thousands of miles to sit in a room.
Yeah, I'm gonna go sit in a hotel room and look. No, I guess he means.
Yeah, just in case.
To be honest with you. I don't know what he means.
And there's nothing that ties our ankles together as well. You and I could go off and do our own little thing as well, too.
Yeah. I mean, if he's going to sit in his room and live stream looking at the draft through
look at the draft down there,
like a window, I'm going to be out amongst the people.
Look at the draft, guys.
We'll figure it. I'm sure. I know he wants to be on site. I want to be on site every day, but we got to find the right little spot. That's all. We just got to find the spot. But maybe we'll go to a local establishment. Now, I do know the first night, people, we are going to do a live stream.
From there, right?
That I wouldn't mind from the hotel because it's a real, it's a double tree, but it's really nice.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how everything goes and see how everything is. Because last time when we were there, man, when we were down at the stage, we were down there. We were hanging out down there.
Excuse my language, but
No, it is just.
I didn't do any homework. Like, we got to look and see who's playing this year. I walked right there.
Oh, my God, that concert is just happening?
Freaking. Oh, yeah, Guns N' Roses is coming later. I'm like, what?
We're just walking by, what?
Mark's like,
is this?
I'm like, fucking, I don't care. We're right there. I'm breaking bread with Axel.
Like Slim Boy Flat. I don't know who was on there. It was.
There was all kinds of people there. It was all over the map.
What is this? Like, why are we here? Yeah. Why are we doing this? Why are we leaving now?
Note to self.
Yeah,
I'm going to.
Where's Randy's sites? Wherever Randy is going, we're going.
Randy, I need you to. Be on speed dial and let me know where we should broadcast from.
Well, I got a couple of lists of stuff from my boy
not so much, but
I got a list of places we can go that my boy used to live in Detroit, of course, and so he's giving me all these little prime locations to be able to do this stuff. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, man, this is going to be, you're going to knock 3 times on this door here, you're going to spin it around. Yeah, exactly. That was last year's password.
Sorry.
So, anyways, yeah, man, I'm getting excited. The more I think about it, the more the traveling, I'm just open for the whole thing, being able to get away from work. Of course, as you as well. Work cannot follow you. I think that's a nice thing. Once you're off of work, it's not like they can stick letters in your hand and say, hey, man, deliver these things. You can be away from work.
And it ain't the job anymore. I mean, like, be honest with you, it's working with people. I ain't going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. I want to get out of there as fast as I can. These young employees, not all of them, they have no work ethic, people. They want to shit start. They want to jump right to the top of the line. Nobody wants to pay their dues anymore. I'm ready to get out. Unfortunately, I can't get out. So, I love my job, though. Once I'm out on the street, I'm good. As long as we're not raining every day, Oscar, I'm good.
I was watching that same game. I was telling him that on the NFL Network they had the Cowboys versus the Rams. I think this is the one that Romo kicked that first down. Like, it goes over his head and he kicks it, and he's doing that, when that, but that more of the other tune.
What's up,
but
buddy? My ankle's swollen, buddy. It's a little swollen right now. It's not. I've done it way worse, but I gutted through it. I did get a little help today, so that was it was a driving piece in one loop. So basically, probably 10 minutes of walking, I was saved. So I probably walked maybe 9 miles and 3/4 or something like that. But once I'm walking, it's sore, but it's
good. It's when it's resting, right?
Yeah. It's when I came home, I knew that. So let me go home and get my shower right away, because then I want to elevate it. And I took a little nap. But it's a little stiff right now. Pause. But yeah, it's not horrible. It could be a lot worse. Every time I go away, I have to really be careful because I end up hurting myself. So, but I'll be all right. it's a generation. Some want it handed to them or expected. None of them. Yeah, Glimmer Man. I don't know what it is, but and it's like you can't say nothing to him. It's like you can't say anything. I work next to my buddy who's been there longer than I have, and anything we say gets magnified. Oh, you can't say that. No, I'm like this. Give me a break.
No, it gets to a point where people's, opinion being, getting your feelings hurt in that sense somehow becomes facts and, it's still it's your own opinion that's being hurt. It's like,
it's
got to get over
there,
it.
Phil, I walked in the door and they were like, meat, there he is. Go get him. Meat, here, I got a piece. I was the help. I was the guy who's going to get all the grunt work. Now, they come in. They don't like what they're doing. They contact their union. You go, oh, we're not treating this person right. It's all. Anyway, we're getting off track. But JoJo's in the house. Lady Lieber, Glimmerman, Oscar, Twiz. What's up, my man? You ready for the draft? Jeff Lee, Brad Harris, of course. Who else we got here? Linda Conyers. How are you, Linda? What's going on? But yeah, so where are we going? Where are we starting first?
So
where do you want to go?
One of the things before we get more into the draft, because we can just dive into the draft all day. We can go into mocks and stuff like that. I don't really go into mocks because next week we're going to be bringing Space Cowboy on to be doing our live mocks that we do starting last year. Kind of just that little tradition you kind of started that we're going to start on the first round. We're going to pick each one kind of in an order, not expecting, kind of a flip, whatever. Right. And each person will kind of just go in what they think that team will
I don't
do.
care if I get Dallas or not. I actually hope I don't.
We'll
most
just likely
randomly draw or
we
not
will,
even think about it.
And we will not trade out and all that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It'll be fun.
So it's like a March Madness bracket. As soon as the first trade happened, you are totally lost because there's a lot of teams that are possibly trying to move up. I think we got the news obviously that once Buffalo got rid of their wide receiver. If there's another wide receiver sitting there dropping down on the board, that's a good trade possibility. Jumping back to 28, I think 28. I can't remember if that was the number. But
ours we're
24. We're 24. I'm talking about
28.
Buffalo.
Yeah. Buffalo's 28.
I'm not really sure what they have past that because they just did some stuff with the whole Stephon thing. But didn't they just get a second round draft pick? I mean, I don't think they would take that pick and trade it up. I mean, maybe. Right? They could trade with
the right
it.
Guys there. That's why everybody goes, like you can't run away. Yeah, well, listen, we can do, but there's not many players in this draft. And we could, just looking at some of the names,
that you can't walk away from. I totally understand. Like, it's just one of those things you're going to...
Realistically, I keep hearing some names, okay? I mean, let's just be honest. We're looking for offensive linemen, people. I don't care what anybody says. I'm hearing... And somebody made a comment in my live stream. I'm not even looking at edge rusher in the first round.
Nope.
I'm sorry. We can't. It's not that I don't like them. And this is what I have a problem with my football team. They put us in a position to where we need an offensive tackle or a center.
Here's the thing. Like, I don't need a position. I mean, I understand best player available and all that kind of stuff, but it gets to a point, too, that if I already have people in those backup positions ready to start, Sam Williams, for example, at the edge, you have a guy there, so it's like, to me,
Mark? How are you, buddy?
it's not a position I want to dive deep and invest in something very early where you already have starters at and you have possible backups to become starters. So those aren't the positions that I want to go to. I'm with you when you say interior defensive line and obviously offensive line.
Yeah, well, I want to give you a couple names. I don't believe this. I'll tell you who should not be on
the board.
There, but if he's there, well, I really think we ultimately, because I don't know if you heard, I was watching DMV's podcast.
Yeah, he had some good. He got some good takes.
He was showing the Brock Hoffman has a YouTube channel.
Yeah,
and Brock.
I saw the workouts. I saw the workouts that they had.
Yeah, well, he had Tyler Smith on, and he asked Tyler, and Tyler said Tyler he really enjoyed.
Yeah, go ahead, continue.
He said he really enjoys playing left guard, and he'll do anything, but it doesn't sound like he's going to be moving to tackle unless they want him to.
Yeah,
it like reminds me of a Zach Martin situation. Can Zach Martin pop out and be a right tackle? Yes, he can. Does he want to? No, not necessarily. And in that case, I want to leave Tyler. After hearing Tyler speak, I want to leave him at left guard.
Okay, so is there any body of work to you with all these tackles and all these right tackles to be exact?
Well, are
there any of them that you could? Yeah, if you could take any of them, would you put him in the left, or would you take Terrence Steele and put him at the left tackle?
We have a lot of options, but what I'm ultimately getting at, and I disagree with Brian Broaddus, where I don't believe necessarily that we're going to go with center now. Based on what I heard there, and you keep hearing that Brock Hoffman. Now, I think they can upgrade from Brock Hoffman, people.
They can.
If Joe Alt is not going to be there, so for me to say, oh, well, if Joe Alt drops, he's not dropping to 24, people. He's a top 5 pick, okay? Joe Alt, Olu Fashanu,
Notre Dame
he's
tackle,
another left tackle.
Yeah.
He will not be there. Just looking at some of the names. Fuaga out of Oregon State, okay? Fuaga has played right tackle solely in college. So as much as I like Fuaga, it is a big risk for him to play left.
But I'll tell you one thing, man. Those Island guys, like I will easily bet on those guys.
I love him, but to play left tackle is totally.
Yeah. Oh, it's different. Everything's fit. Everything. You wake up different in the morning.
There's one guy, and there's no way. And if he drops, I've been talking about him, but and we'll talk about a couple other guys. But Troy Fontenot, he's the guy. I don't expect him to be there, people, but he is a plug-and-play left tackle.
Well, here's the thing, man. I think the tackles are obviously what you're talking about. These are the guys that you can't walk away from. Obviously, those are the ones that you're talking about that you could feel comfortable.
I'm confused on Mims.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you. Mims is a guy he's a left tackle, but he's got 8 games played. Will they pull the trigger? I'm willing to. Okay, I'm willing to pull the trigger.
See, to me, I could probably name you like 7, 8 tackles that I'd feel comfortable with Dallas. Even the ones that are no-name ones that are coming up. Kingsley, there's ones that have a great body of work that aren't, though. See, there's a guy, and that should be available later. So to me, center with 3. Like, to me, there's 3 centers that should be there. And so that's why you should be picking it. Is like if you could pick that and get it, and then you don't have to worry about it for the next 4 years.
J.C. Latham is 6'5", 342. He'll play his guard, but then you would
to
swing out.
He plays championship ball too. Like even if he didn't play in the championship, you would
have to move Tyler at that point, and that's the only thing. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're thinking. This team, and in a way, it's good. Mm-hmm. Now the consensus, Brian Broaddus, is the whole NFL believes Dallas is hunting a center in the first round. So what does that mean? So
those people jump ahead.
At Dallas and go, we got to get here. We got to get to 23, and that's kind of frustrating. Why? Because we didn't do anything. That's the frustrating part.
Yeah.
So,
but here's the thing: like if they go, okay, for example, if they went out and got Yale's tackle, I can't even think of his name right now.
Yale.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Kieran or something like that.
Kieran.
Yeah, something like that. So if they go out and guy like that, and then they go get a guard, let's say Cooper Beebe's there, and somehow they pick up these 2 guys, what's your plan then? Tyler obviously stays a tackle. Where are you shifting people at, and then
see, here's my thing here. You still have to draft a center. So, I kind of like what Phil did in his draft the other day, even though we didn't rack up the picks. We're getting carried away with thinking that we're actually going to get 4 starters.
Yeah.
It's not. Unless you trade down and get 4 top 80 picks or 4 top 90 picks and 5 top 9, maybe. With
everybody proving themselves in the way that they found some
Kingsley.
Yeah, I would love
Mattea.
Dude, that's a great pick. That would be a great pick, and that one's more of a sleeper that a lot of people weren't jumping on. But now he's picking it up. Now he's picking it up a little bit more, and but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. There's like probably that's like the 7th or 8th, and if we picked him up, I'd be very happy.
The one thing Dallas does, and it's something that I do when I'm just playing around in my mama's basement doing mock drafts, is I look at and see where we're picking, where the strength of the draft is, and what's going to be available in and around our picks in the first few rounds.
Yeah.
So if I can get a Kingsley Suamataia or let's say a Fontenot drops, then that's or a Mims.
But that's where, but I think that's where you have the key.
Can come back and get a Von Pron Granger.
Well, I think that's where you got the key. You can trade back into the early second round and get those guys and pick up your draft
Frazier,
picks. Yes, exactly.
Hunter Norzad out of Penn State. We're starting to hear him now. He's more of a fourth round guy. He's not necessarily somebody you got to get in the first round. 6'3", 317. So I'm just telling you, I don't know what their plan is, but from what I'm gathering, they're not high on Asim Richards. They didn't give him very much opportunity. So,
hey man,
we need multiples.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if he's your backups, and that's what it is. I mean, I got it again. What I've seen, the body of work with Asim Richards, it's been positive. Okay, so that's to me what I see. When I see he was out there in those moments, I saw it was positive. So I obviously I'm not there at the practices, and I don't see what the coaches are seeing, and that's why I don't really believe that he's going to. But somehow, like, you can't be as bad as Edoga, so you're going to tell me that that's worse. Like, you're looking at Edoga and going, yeah, let's stick that son of a bitch right in there. And with Richard, you're sitting there going, I don't know, man, that's very iffy. Like, there has to be something happening in practice. Like, is he falling on the ground? Like he's not tying his shoelace. I don't understand what's going on that you will believe in Edoga, but you will not believe in Richards.
Well,
so.
Yeah, the more you hear about Edoga, he's not guaranteed to make the team. But
it's the fact that you were starting his ass.
Handled him last year and never gave Asim Richards an opportunity.
Boom.
Now, again, per Bryan brought us, he says he thinks they should, obviously if Fontenot drops, but if not, he wants the Cowboys to take one of those centers. And I don't have a problem with it. That's where we started, and I think me and Phil were on the same page saying, they're going to get a center. JPJ, whoever. Now Graham Barton. I think Graham Barton's going ahead of him big time. I think Graham Barton will probably be gone.
Just a flexible guy, man. Like,
that would be a perfect pick for us because he can even play tackle. Like Phil said, I did a little research. He's right. He did play a little tackle. He's so gifted that you can go into the
don't get me wrong. I've seen his tape, and I'm not sitting there going, man, that guy blows off the line and he's just knocking people. No. He gets in the way. Let's just say he gets in the way. He's able to put his body. It's not brawling people to the side, but the flexibility, the footwork, being able to adapt, the mentality, your mental capability of picking up different blitzes and stuff like that. To me, that says a lot about your intelligence, especially your football intelligence. The other stuff obviously can be, worked on, the weight room, all those workout type of programs, all that stuff can be brought to the table. So I just like the fact that he has the history there. And now instead of going, well, we drafted this guy, should we move so-and-so? Well, no, man, let's just stick him at wherever you feel that he needs to be at. Oh, he has to be center? Bam, he can do center. So to me, it's just, he hasn't played tackle in a while, and so that to me would be the one that I'd feel a little bit less, especially.
Yeah. I mean, I think now we're hearing Jackson Powers Johnson has a concussion issue, which I don't think he's going in the first round, people.
Dude, he talked about somebody's mama, or he slept with someone's wife. Like,
I don't know.
He's where'd all this stuff coming from? Like some team is I'm just saying, is some team talking trash, just trying to get him to drop, and you're just like, man, if we keep just putting bad mouth stuff. I hear he likes so whatever presidential candidate, and then and he drops a little bit more, so it's like.
Get it down.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
well, so listen, I'm gonna be I really got to get my mind right as we get closer to the draft, really, as I think the picture is going to be as clear as possible. Now the NFL teams have gotten their medical rechecks, and they are hush hush about it. So we don't know.
Oh yeah, exactly.
We're slowly getting.
As you see, we saw it last year when we saw those guys dropping. When I was a big Stia Vila.
We're like, why aren't they going?
Yes,
yes. Now we know why. But,
now we know. Yes.
So only they know. I do think that some of the media scouts know, but they're not going to. They're not gonna see. It's all competition, people. what's his name out of ESPN? Adam Schefter? Yeah, he likes to break. No, well, don't be surprised. The sleeper team to take a quarterback in the first round is Dallas Cowboys.
Makes no sense.
People.
Makes no sense.
It's
At any
happening.
point, it makes no sense. No sense.
Do your homework.
Unless
But
you just all of a sudden just wipe. Okay, we traded him away, traded that. You have to get rid of stuff in order to have that happen.
Yeah,
you know?
like I would say the number one guy that I respect now, Mel Kiper's old school, and he does what he does.
Who the hell's Mel Kiper, anyways?
he does that based on his own what he thinks, and
he was right last year.
I
right?
can respect that.
Yeah.
But Daniel Jeremiah has actually been in charge of drafts in the NFL. He is a media scout now. I mean, he's a media guy. He's in the know, and he hadn't had Jackson Powers Johnson in his first round for quite some time. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting if Zach Frazier, who I think is my favorite non-first round pick center.
Ooh.
He's nasty out of West Virginia. He's nasty. He's a nasty center. The one guy I don't want, Phil, and I forget, I think it was Chris May today, text me, says, who don't you want?
Tyler
I don't want Bortolini from Wisconsin.
Yeah,
I've had
yeah,
enough Wisconsin people.
And,
Sorry.
And I don't want Tyler Guyton, but it is what it is. I mean, I
don't
see
want
too much
Tyler Guyton
rawness.
either.
You know, if
I
at
do
least
not want him.
yeah, at least if I see with Mims, like he's just there's a big body to work with. If he messes up with a foot, he still has all that body to help make up for that. You know, and so I think the other stuff will come along, especially if he hasn't taken a lot of hits, but at least he played for a championship team. Like when we're talking about that guy, Kyron from Yale, the tackle, like, yeah, great body of work, but who was he going against? He wasn't going against national champion type of guys.
Against,
So that, again, each guy has his own thing where you're like, okay, well, he played well, but there's this, and so there's a lot of them. But again, there's a lot of them. All these guys too. You can, if you draft them, you can get excited about them.
Yeah, Vinny, Frazier was a wrestler in college, and that's
actually a great thing.
That's very, very big. Yeah, usually that means you're good with the hands and like close his situations. I really like Zach Frazier, so I know it's not sexy. I mean, I get it a lot. Like, why do you want to trade out of the first round? Why? Because my team put me in a position to do so.
Yeah.
Now, hearing what I'm hearing, I'm not going to be heartbroken if we don't get a JPJ out of Oregon, because now I don't think he should drop far.
I just want the first pick to be good. I don't care if it's in the early second round. I just want that first pick to get something excited about. Just like, okay, that is a future piece for our team.
Yeah. Here's the one thing that we need to circle back to the beginning and realize what possibly could be going on. And this goes back to Dan Sileo in his National Football Show and reaching out to Jimmy Johnson, and Jimmy Johnson telling him, I'll talk to you after the draft. I really can't talk about it. I'm helping the Dallas Cowboys. So he don't want to give nothing away. So that's the one thing in the last few days that have gotten me relaxed. I know he's not the end all be all. I understand he's not coaching the team. I get it. But the fact that it seems like whatever Jimmy Johnson touches turns to gold. He knows how to win. Mm-hmm. That's the bottom line. He knows how to look at players, look at tape, and see who could help the football team. Now, the one thing I will say about Jimmy Johnson is he was never a big first-round offensive lineman guy. But here's where I'm telling you. That's why I think if he's involved and we start trading out of the first round, even do what I said, drop down, then maybe drop down again to really get those top 100 picks, then he's in charge. Because, Phil, you tell me, when was the last time we traded anywhere in the draft? It's been a while.
It's been a long time, very long time, yeah.
We're always just staying picked.
Well, I mean, yeah, and it wasn't very exciting. When
we're going
you kind of see the things coming. You're like, okay, this year we're going to draft you're going to draft J.C. Horn. We're going to draft Surtain. This is going to happen and stuff. And then all of a sudden they get picked off the board. And you're like, Well, okay, they traded back. That only made sense. That's the logic part. That's where, like, okay, all your guys that you really wanted at that spot was gone, and that's what you're hoping you do at 24, and you're able to trade back, get some value, and later on, you pick, what is it, Goldston? You end up picking Goldston up with that later on, draft pick. Hasn't, panned out exactly the way you want to, but, he still has another year on that contract to see what happens there.
I've always been a fan of his.
He's just been in the very back of that totem pole. There's been a long list of people right in front of him.
And like I said, me and Phil don't talk about a run sheet. We don't have a clue what we're really going to come out of our mouths, other than we have ideas, right? We know the draft is coming up, but I want to touch on something regarding Dan Quinn. I was watching. Like when I'm walking, I listen to a lot. I listen to different podcasts and different people and. We got our ass kicked in a playoff game. Why? Because the coach of the Green Bay Packers was a offensive coordinator under Dan Quinn with the Atlanta Falcons. He knew how to beat Dan Quinn. Okay, he just did. I don't know if he was the offensive coordinator. I thought he was, but anyway, he was one of the coaches with Atlanta with Dan Quinn. Who else can't Dan Quinn beat? Yet another that would be a Kyle Shanahan. Now, the one thing Dan Quinn did was to create turnovers, but he's had a blind spot, at least on this team, when it comes to certain things. So it's going to be a breath of fresh air. We may not get the turnovers, but we may be better against the run. We may be able to, Just looking back at the Green Bay game, it was a perfect storm, and none of us realized it until it was too late. And then it was like, oh man, he played a guy who knew Dan Quinn, knew the Dan Quinn playbook, and it came back to bite us in the ass. So I think Dan Quinn needed to go. I'm glad he went. It is what it is, people. Yep. Move on, and let's go, Mike Zimmer.
So before we go into this draft and we get these guys, because at least with these picks you're going to have two of these guys that are going to make some kind of an impact, whether offensive line, defensive line, something in that nature. I want you to kind of I can go first, and that way it gives you some time. But I want you to give me 5 guys in this lineup right now going into this season that hasn't been that star that you could see having a breakout year and really, bringing their value up as a NFL player in general.
Okay.
So to me, the number one guy that really sticks out on this whole team is Sam Williams. I criticize this guy a lot, and I think it's the mentality of what he brings. Hopefully, with a nice offseason, the trouble behind him as well too. It's not that far behind him. So let's be real. So that's why the talking during the season, these are the things that I question his maturity, and so this is going to be a big stepping stone year for Sam Williams, and he has all the ability to do it, and he has the coaching in front of him. He has the ability, the opportunity. Will he seize it? I think that has a big opportunity. A guy that has a big opportunity. Another guy on the defense is Wanye Thomas. Again, if you follow the channel at all, I am big.
You're gonna rattle off 5 in a row, and I'm gonna
okay. Okay, well, you can go back and forth. You want to go back and forth then?
No. Okay. That's all right.
So Wanye, I think when you look back at high school, college stuff, this guy is a turnover machine. Now, not necessarily because he reads defenses or whatever. He's at the right place at the right time. Some guys are like that in the NFL, man. So you have to think that it's somewhat ability, So I've seen him cover wide receivers. I've seen him go into the zone. Even last year when he had those small roles, he blocked the field goal right off the bat that got us going in that Giants game. He's stopping Barkley as well, too. So there's been times where he stepped up. His Twitter game is a little weird, but I think any really star athlete, their Twitter game definitely needs to be a little weird. So I think he's down that.
Yeah.
So the third guy on mine is actually the third receiver in our lineup right now, and that's Jalen Tolbert. Tolbert, I think, had already showed us glimpses last year, at least enough to make us feel comfortable with the ball going in his direction. The year before that, we saw the ball go his way. He would drop passes. The concentration wasn't there. This year, even when the guys were draped on him, you saw him coming up with those passes and being a guy that Dak Prescott can definitely rely on. So to me, Jalen Tolbert is another guy that definitely can have a hell of a year, if not a 1,000-yard receiver, with Brandon Cooks maybe being, again, left behind because, they don't quite know how to use him, or he's being a distraction of some kind. So my next... So you want to go ahead? You want to hit me three and I'll get you two? Okay.
No.
So the newest addition of our guy is Eric Kendrick. I think Eric is going to have a hell of a year leading this defense. It's going to rejuvenate him to have that star on him. If it's not an injury that will hold him up, I think he will have an incredible year. Especially with a guy like Zimmer on this defense, I think you can definitely see him with 120-plus tackles in this defense. Now, whether the interceptions and stuff come with it, but I still definitely think that he's the type of guy that could lead the defense in tackles, of course, depending on how they utilize him. And then my last guy, of course, is definitely not Mozzie. So I still think it's a development year. I would be very happy that if he could develop, it's going to go on the defensive tackle. But I think Osa Odigizua. This is a guy that to me. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Well, you can say the same old guys as me. It's okay. Osa to me he's stepped each year. Another step. He's been really good. Anybody that talks about him on the offensive line when he goes against the opposition, those guys have great things to say about Osa. And when you watch his game, he just needs to step up in bigger moments, And so if he can bring those presence in those bigger moments, his name will become bigger and his presence will become bigger. So, Brian, you're more than welcome to repeat. I apologize
I'm gonna go with the young guys, man. I don't go with the same
David Cowboy,
shit,
yeah.
So I'm going to go with the young guys. And now, what's the premise of this? Who I think is going to have a big year?
It could be just a guy that was been held back, and now you think is going to come out.
This guy hasn't had an opportunity. Was an unrestricted free agent towards the end of the last year. He was getting some run at guard. T.J. Bass is the real deal, people. He very well might be the replacement on the right side. Who the hell knows? He might be the left guard.
You might be right. You might be right there.
I really like T.J. Bass, not just the player, but the mentality of the player. I keep hearing myself. He's feisty and he's got a mean streak. And just remember, people, he was not drafted last year.
David Cowboy, that's a good one.
What's that? Yeah, well, I was getting to that one.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Screwed me, David Cowboy. But no, I wasn't going to use him. But let's touch on John Stevens Jr. He's 6.
I love it.
Let me see. He's 6. Let me see. What is he again?
6'7"?
6'5".
6'7". Oh, okay. I thought he was a little bit bigger. Maybe 6'5".
Let me see.
Now you got me. But I loved his body of work last year in training camp. I mean, he was definitely catching some passes. He was
6'5", 221.
6'5",
He was a converted wide receiver.
Yep.
He was the best tight end. Now, I listen.
Yes, I would agree. Definitely would agree.
Yeah,
what you're about to say. He was in camp. Yes, definitely.
But T.J. Bass is my first one. We want to build in the trenches. Well, we got a guy here in house that is a starter in this league. So I don't care where we play him. I would say guard, which means we would have to. I would say this year a perfect team for TJ would be the swing guard, if you want to say that. But I think it's time that we need to move on from certain people, and we'll get to that. But my next guy, I am going to go with the DeMarvion Overshown.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
Just over what he demonstrated. In the preseason last year was scary. Up until the point where he got hurt. Remember, he ran all the way across the field. It was kind of a weird one. Tackle on the sideline. Listen, he's going to be a player, people, and we need to account for him as part of our draft class this year because we haven't seen him at all. And that leads me into my next one, where we gave up this year's 5th round pick, which is Eric Scott Jr. I do not know what happened from the preseason where the whole franchise was very high on Eric Scott Jr. And then when the season started, nothing happened. I don't know if he lost confidence, but I know one thing.
He got blown away in preseason quite a bit.
Well, he started off good.
Yeah, he did.
And then he just, I don't know if he lost confidence, but it was a little disheartening. Lady Libra, there you go. Y'all too funny. I don't see D Law on the roller coaster. I see Mark bringing up the ring.
Yeah, there it is. She saw it. Good job, Lady Libra. I was wondering if
is that Mark?
I was like, I wonder if anybody's gonna notice it. Lady Libra with the ring. I love it. Yes, thank you very much. I was wondering if anybody was gonna notice it. So yeah, I put Mark in the very, very back. He was like right there.
Are we in there or no?
No.
It's just Mark.
Just Mark. I wanted to put the Godfather in there.
Time.
Yeah, man.
What the fuck?
Hardly in our show.
I'm joking. Mark.
Thank you very much,
You
Lady
get
Libra.
enough screen time, big guy.
I get the bag.
Okay. I'm going to go with my third guy here, and it's going to be one Luke Schoonmaker. He was unbelievably injured coming out of college.
And now, too.
And I do believe that he's going to have a bounce back year. He's going to be a reliable guy in the red zone and as well as blocking in the running game. So I'm very high on Luke Schoonmaker. And what's fun is we don't necessarily need him to come out of the gates, but I just think he's going to have a full off season. I think he's going to be fine, people. I'm not going to say Mozzie, everybody, but there's going to be. I want to go to a secondary guy, Phil. I want to go with a guy who's in the final year of his contract.
And the people love to ball in their last year of their contracts.
Well, he's been an enigma, and I'm not going to say Nashawn Wright because I think Nashawn Wright is gone, all but gone.
Washington.
Israel Mukwamu, he played opposite J.C. Horn at the University of South Carolina. He's a big guy who could play safety. For whatever reason, I think Dan Quinn loved himself. Those veterans.
I see him as a Carolina Panther in the future. I don't know. Something that tells me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope not. I hope he's a Cowboy because I love the player. And the last guy is going to be a mystery because we haven't seen nothing of him. But 6'4", 270, Viliami Fehoko.
Oh yeah,
he was just learning. I saw an interview with him, and he was learning and just looking and learning how to be a pro and and he ended up getting injured, which allowed him not to see the field at all. Now that could be bad, right? Or that could be good, right? That could be good because nobody knows. Let's not forget we got a tackling machine in Junior Fehoko. He's a big boy too, and he's very fast out of San Jose State. 6'4", 267. So I went with a lot of the young guys.
I like him. I mean, that's a lot of the ones that we're talking about. When you're talking about this team, I mean, you can almost point at every position, and you need somebody to at least show something. I mean, we got the quarterback position. Trey Lance needs to show us something in the preseason if this is going to be any future part.
Opportunity, Phil. He's going to get the opportunity.
I agree. You think they're going to go that same thing that they like to do with the offense of starters? Those first wave don't get playing time, and that's why you're seeing Rush and maybe Trey Lance a lot more.
I think that Dak's not going to see the field but if I was Dak, I would want to see the field. But just because, you don't want to see a guy like Trey Lance get all the reps. But Trey Lance needs the reps for multiple reasons. We know
definitely not the bottom.
Prescott.
Like New York Giants would be the bottom. Like that's.
What's
I mean,
that?
we'll be in the
Cowboys
middle, but
bottom of the division this year. Yeah, Chuck.
We might be second. We might be second.
there's-
Chance of still winning first, but like
There's no way, man.
I don't see us bottom.
I'm sorry, Chuck.
Yeah.
I'm
That's what I'm
putting a
saying.
mystic on your ass, Chuck. That's a horrible statement.
Dare you?
There ain't no way we're going to be the bottom. We're going to win 9 or 10. We're going to win 9 or 10. It's hard not to in this league. All right. Yeah, the Eagles have went out and got a lot of talent, and I always joke and I say I think as of right now, Eagles
Way
are gonna
too
win
many,
the division.
Bobby.
Well, yeah, I don't think Giants are going to win a division, but that's just me. Washington, they don't have a quarterback, Chuck.
Not yet.
We good.
Not yet.
Yeah, okay. But
The
they're gonna
Wildcat.
win. Okay.
They're gonna go to the Wildcat. That's what they're gonna do.
Good. They have talent, but they got to go out and show it. Let's wait and see what the schedules are going to be. We all know the names. We know the home and away, but let's wait and see what the schedule says.
Well,
and
I think
let's see who's going to win the division.
So Pepe views. He asked, "What happens if Lance shines in camp?"
Then
Cooper Rush, bye bye. You think by that point? I think that's what that means.
I wouldn't say that. I would say, this could be a situation. I don't think so. I've seen pictures of Dak. Dak looks lean and mean. If anybody
great. Yeah,
saw anything
good.
about Dak lately, he's lost even more weight. He's getting himself in the best possible shape to be ready. He ain't dumb. He knows what's coming. You got a younger, stronger, faster, a quarterback who just needs reps, and Dallas is going to get him reps. So they need to, because they don't have any options on Trey Lance. He's free after this year as well. So he's either playing for us or
that's what I'm saying. Like
team.
that next year, we could be like that's why I don't want to get a quarterback in that draft. If you're going to get it in this draft. But to me, it's that balance of that year. Like, are you wasting that rookie's, rookie year? I mean, it's just, there's a lot of questions that come in by picking that. You don't know what a team's going to do. What happened with Arizona? I mean, they do 1 year with Josh Rosen, and then the next year they're already jumping to Murray, and now we're probably talking about them possibly, if they don't go wide receiver, getting another quarterback. So that's a team that also likes to give up very early on. San Francisco, they drafted, Trey Lance, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're already trading him away. So you don't necessarily need to get drawn in right now to these quarterbacks, but again, it really depends on how this year plays out. Are you extending? Are you giving Trey Lance an opportunity to bring his value up to see if he's going to be starting in Jacksonville or some other place,
Pepe, you're right. He is Cowboys draft pick, but he's not signed after this year. We did not pick up his 5th-year option. So,
Evan,
what's up?
Nothing, man.
Evan Curran, 4:20 on the clock, though. Yes, man. Yes. It's 4:20 somewhere.
Always.
Bryan in the war room. Yeah, I got the. Where's Forehead at? I don't know. Forehead's back there somewhere. But yeah, I'm in the war room. I figured I'm on his stream. I'll switch it up and do a little Zoom.
So I want to throw you a little bit of curveball. So let's say Dallas goes in. They get a nice offensive guy. They get a defensive tackle. They get some linebackers. Oh, they get a wide receiver. Nice shiny wide receiver. Maybe a cornerback or whatever. But at no
corner.
But at no point does a running back get picked up. What do you see the option at that point being?
What do you mean?
Like no drafted running back happens.
Oh, okay. Then it's going to be running back by committee and Zeke Elliott. That would be a mistake, Phil. We need to come out. That's why I said we don't have the luxury to sit and pick.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Bryan. Exactly, man. We do not. We
don't have
too many
the luxury. We need a running back. We need a linebacker. We need a defensive tackle, and we need at least one offensive tackle.
Big ass grocery list.
Players. Yeah. I know we can go in unrestricted free agency after the draft. There's going to be plenty of guys on their draft board that do not get drafted. I mean, like Tanner McGee out of Temple. I keep hearing that name. Just remember that name, people. It's either going to be a 7th-round pick. He's a long, skinny, lanky guy, kind of like in the J-Ron Curse mold, to come in here. But we still need 4. We need a running back, some sort of offensive lineman. I think multiple, but I mean, as far as drafted, we have 7 picks. We need 1. We need a linebacker, and we need a defensive tackle, and probably 2 defensive tackles. So we don't have the luxury. Now, I've done a bunch of mocks, Phil, and it's like I want to trade down a couple times just to get some picks. Why? Because I would like to draft a quarterback this year. Not in round 1, not in round 2, not in round 3, I'm talking round 5 at the earliest, possibly 6. I really would not mind coming away with Milton out of Joe Milton out of Tennessee.
Milton, yeah. Late, what an arm. What an arm.
Like if we can get him in the 5th or 6th, That's only if we trade down, because that's the only way that we can afford to draft a backup quarterback. If not, then I like Sam Hartman as like a 7th round or a free agent type quarterback. You're going to need to bring in a quarterback, people. You can't go into the year with 2 guys on expiring deals, right? And a Cooper Rush, who I believe is a free agent as well.
Yeah, I believe that too.
You need to bring somebody in.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be. I just disagree that it's going to be in the first round.
Well, I think it's one of those things. I mean, if you leave it open right now, if the season doesn't go the way you want, I mean, it's like, okay, so the season doesn't go the way you want. Oh, let's possibility of blowing it up. Well, why didn't it go the way you want? Was it because you fiddled around? You didn't get guys that can make a difference? Did you not go offensive line, defensive tackle? Did you go with that shiny little new toy instead? I mean, yeah, we've all talked about the scenario with this wide receiver dropping and stuff. But is it a smart idea? Is it if a Bryan Thomas Jr. does drop? Is it one of those CeeDee Lambs
that's tricky? That's very tricky. There's the one guy I really want, though. I really like, the more I think about it, the more I want this player. But the only way we can afford to get this player is if we drop down, I would say more than once, and get a guy like Malachi Corley. He's a Debo type clone, just a playmaker, man. Wouldn't it be nice? Isn't that nice to be able to throw a little pass to Debo and just watch him just run around over and through people? It's just we're gonna know right away, and I'm so excited that we're gonna be there because we're gonna be able to feel the atmosphere. Phil, just picture us being there. I'm gonna have my lollipops ready to throw them at Mark if something bad goes down. But like seeing the star pop up on the board where we're not expecting it. We're expecting the pick whenever, and all of a sudden there's a trade. The Dallas Cowboys are on the clock.
Well,
I don't know.
Then there's a purpose. There's a purpose. Then I feel like, okay, they went up and got their guy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling really good. They didn't just wait. So that's where I can respect it. Obviously, it sucks because you lose draft picks and stuff like that. But if it's your guy, you feel it's I'm all for it.
Or if we're trading a player, I'm not saying I want that, but
yeah,
you're hearing a lot of rumors. I'm telling you right now, if Jimmy Johnson's involved, nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe. Yep.
Nobody's safe, people. You could sit there and say Micah is a generational player. I agree with you. I'm not here to say I want to trade him.
But Herschel Walker at the time was too.
I'm just telling you, if they're sitting there and all of a sudden we pop up in the Raiders slot, I'm gonna be
because we're sending him off to the AFC.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
I don't know what to think.
Yeah,
obviously, I'm not saying it's happening, people, but that's why I love the draft. That's what I'm getting at. That you never know.
Truth, Mike.
It's been so boring the last few years.
It is.
Okay, let's just wait. We're in purgatory. We're not low because we didn't suck, but we're not at the end of the draft because we didn't win any friggin' playoff games. We're right where we are.
But we're not losing either. We win games, so we're competitive. That's where we pick we pick.
That's purgatory. That's like being in the NBA. Look, Twiz can tell you this. That's like being the sick. That's like being like the 8th seed in the NBA playoffs or in the playoff. Okay, you made the playoffs. Now you get ready to get rolled by the first team. Yeah, exactly. So it's like okay. I mean, and now after this year, it's like if we have a bad year, it's like even if we have a good year next year in the regular season, Phil, it's like okay. We're all waiting for that first playoff game. We're all holding our breath. And if we are, the players are. So they need a culture change. That's why I think Jimmy Johnson will be a welcomed addition. Jimmy is not scared to blow this shit up. Chuck, you're right. You are 100% right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was willing to take his best guy, trade him off as capital to get some value.
David, I'm not sitting here because Phil, I get lit up. I can't believe you want to trade Micah. We're just talking, people. Relax. We're just talking. I don't want to trade anybody until it's done, and then I'll give you my opinion.
Yeah.
I would like to see Micah Parsons under Mike Zimmer.
Here's the thing, like if you can
I
give
don't
me
know.
a guy, if you're trading him off and you're giving me like a Noah Ellis, or you're giving me somebody that's replacing there plus some other pieces to reveal, because let's be real, as the helmet as the helmet is stars on his helmet, they are not calling holding plays on him. So where is the value there? You know, where's the value in keeping and paying him $30 million? And that's the part. That's the part where I
own you. The Eagles own you. Lane Johnson owns you.
They go straight to you and they knock you out of the way. Yeah.
Lane Johnson owns you, Micah. You gotta
straight
come
up,
up
Vinny.
with something
Whatever
else.
makes this team better. Exactly. And that's the way you gotta look at it. Is like, I want Micah to be here big time. But if it's gonna get us 3 players in his place that are impact players, then I'm like, okay, and then a future pick later
that
on.
Knows their salt, right? I mean, anybody that knows anything, I understand if you get a generational player. But listen, if our team is not going to pay for them,
Yeah,
we're going to let them
walk away. Yeah.
I mean, like we've already talked about it. Like I brought this up at Mark. You know, Micah Parsons was drafted 2 picks behind the Eagles wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yet and Dallas is going to let this play out to the last possible moment. They could technically make him play this year.
I agree, Brad.
Yeah, they can make him play on, I'll give him his 5th-year option, and then because he was a first-round pick, then they could franchise him, okay? But the Eagles wide receiver who was drafted, he had Devontae Smith was drafted 2 picks ahead of him. They're working on a long-term deal right now as we speak.
I do
with
that
2
too.
years to go on the contract. That's how you run a franchise, Brad. That's how you run a franchise, Vinny. That's how you run a franchise twist. You guys know you have to identify who you want here long term. Sometimes you get bit, right? Sometimes you do that and there's a massive injury. You can't listen, this football, Phil. There could be injuries anytime. You can't always look for injuries, but you have to be able to. But hey, listen, guys, they don't want to seem to keep anybody. It's embarrassing. Dallas doesn't want to keep anybody.
But okay, this is the part where too
unload them.
There was a lot
of
the
Prescott is traded. Okay, am I upset? Yeah.
That's
but then again, you're not paying no effing guy.
Yeah, that's the one thing I liked about Belichick was that he was willing to let people go. And let's be real, man, they're willing to let people walk away. I mean, they may turn around and sign a spiteful contract. Those are never worked out to DeMarco Murray. So I mean, when you do that way, and you're kind of joining a team just because you want to, not this is gonna be better for my family, and I just have this better. Like, to me, when you look at Tony Pollard, me and you were calling that Tennessee one. It all made sense of why he should go to that team. They need him. They need a guy like him. He needs a place like Tennessee. It just made sense on both sides. Of course, being from there. So I mean, there's just some things that just make sense. Now, when we're talking about guys in this draft, do you see anybody in this draft, a very high pick or whatever, that are maybe being thrown to the Cowboys, that you see, we can't go that way because of a mental thing, that more diva mentality you're seeing from some of these players?
No, I don't see that.
I haven't seen that this year too, and that's why I talk about with a lot of these guys, even those wide receivers that have been really good, Marvin Harrison, I don't feel that arrogance that you've seen in a lot of these drafts going in, and so that's why I wanted to pick yours as well to see if you've caught in the wind of anything.
I don't see any of that. There's some raw players in the first round. We could use a defensive end, but again, with the lack of picks that we get, we would have to be trading down a couple times.
I would say if you trade back and that's one of your 5 that you picked up, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's why I say receiver. I don't expect to draft a receiver with our drafted picks. I don't expect a tight end. I don't expect a safety. Maybe a corner, but it's just looking at our team. So, like, one of 2 things are going to happen. Either I'm going to be very happy with the draft and they're going to bulk up the interiors of the offensive defensive line and maybe get us like a couple skill players, like a running back and a receiver. That would be great. Let's stay away. We don't need tight end. Let's get. We have plenty of corners on this team. We can get a couple in free agency. Yeah, and if that's the case, maybe then they bring back. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe then they'll bring back Gilmore if we don't draft a corner, because I don't know that I don't know that we could draft a corner. I just don't know that we could draft unless we
not
get
an
more
impact.
picks.
Well, I mean, I guess I
Like
can't
Chop
say not an
Robinson.
impact.
I've been busting Twiz about Chop, but I think Chop Robinson would fit really good in Philly. He's raw, I get it, but would you want him in Dallas?
There was an Elisha Jones. I think that was a Boston College guy. There was some ones I saw that were in later rounds, but I think it really depends on your thing, because I've seen different.
I love your guy from Oregon, but he's more of a 3-4 guy, but he can't be blocked. Brandon Dorless. I love him. I would love to see him with a star on something, because wherever he goes, he can't be blocked. He's just an athletic, all over the place beast. But are they going to do it? I don't know. Like your guy Jonah Ellis out of Utah. I like him too. It'll be interesting to see, it really will be interesting to see what this team does. The good thing is, Phil, we're less than 2 weeks away from finding out. And, that's the exciting thing. The Eagles have a lot of draft picks, so I got news for you. As excited as we are,
yeah, they're going to be excited. Way more. Also, because they're going to pick some of the guys that we've been mocking as well, too. Yeah. I mean, they tend Howie tends to have his ear to the ground with a lot of the content that's coming out as well, too. And so he definitely picks those guys that are more the I say fan favorite, but I'm not saying it in that sense, but the ones that we tend to pick the most. And I think that's where your Noah Smith, those ones have come from, because obviously people were ranting and raving about that. Nobody could see really the injury history. I think really people weren't paying attention as much to those, but I think it's becoming a more and more factor, because there's been guys, of course, we're talking about Jackson Power Johnson, and why are we talking about him slipping on the board? It definitely is not the talent that's on the field. It's stuff that they're, concussions and injury, the knee, was it a knee or thing? I can't even remember anymore. Is somebody bringing his value down? The shorter arms. Still a guy that I would love to bring onto the team. And so if you're trading back and still picking up a guy like that.
Good question, Brad.
What is Brad saying?
Question.
Okay.
Will we be happy or pissed after the draft? Stay tuned. That's what I can tell you is stay tuned, Brad. If Jimmy's involved, we'll be happy. If Jimmy's not involved, we're going to be pissed. So our luck will be pissed, but Bradbury and a second from Mike.
We ain't taking Bradbury.
Yeah. I'm actually very interested to see what the Eagles are going to do, just because of their defensive backs and their age, and I think they go edge, with their first pick. But now you're hitting off. I think they're just throwing smoke screens with offensive line in the first round. Nobody's saying you don't need an offensive lineman, but in the first round, I don't see it. I think they're going edge rusher. But then again, they're going to a 3-4, Twiz. If you could get a Brandon Dorless, that would be scary. It's scary, because he would fit real good in with the Eagles. He wore green at Phil's alma mater, Oregon. So that would be scary. So Vinny likes Hall, Gabe Hall. Yeah, at a Baylor, right? Yeah, I like Gabe Hall. He's a later guy, big boy, real big boy. Gabe Hall, defensive tackle out of Baylor, 6'6", 291. Put him and Golston next to each other, man. We have the Twin Towers.
The one that I like, other than Fisk, obviously that's my main defensive tackle, and of course Sweat behind it. Even with his troublesome self, I still like that guy. But the guy further on, and I brought him to the attention of Bryan, about a month or so ago, is the guy from Northern Iowa, and that's Christian Boyd. That's just a big.
Yeah, I'm looking at him now, man.
I'm looking at him now.
6'2", 329. He's a trash can full of dirt.
Yeah, 6'4", 370. I got 6. Well, I guess it depends on who's measuring him.
It doesn't matter. He's a big boy.
He's a big boy.
But he's a guy you can get if you don't get necessarily. Like Phil was saying, like if we go in a direction, that's why I love the draft, because you can go where you want to go, but you can take different avenues to get there. Maybe we get we're all saying defense, but there's a potential people that we go offensive line in the first round, running back, and receiver.
Well, that's why
we load up.
Well, that's
like
where
you did.
You did. Yeah, I went. What is it? I think I did center. I'm not even sure. I did
No,
something
you
where I
went
had a
Barton,
tackle.
and then you went.
But
Yeah.
then I had Cooper Beebe in there,
Barton
too.
and center. Yeah.
Obviously, I had Cooper Beebe in there, and then I had my
But
running back
I did a
as
lot
well.
of mocks where we're taking an offensive lineman in the first round, and then or we drop down to get our center or whatever, and then
Defensive
the next
tackle.
pick, you're getting a wide receiver because you traded down, and then you're getting a running back in the third round, and you still got 4 or 5. You have 3 more picks, and you're getting, so don't be surprised, people. You gotta take the best
Chuck.
players available. JPJ is there. Cowboys should take him. I'm not going to argue with you. I'll be happy with it.
Yeah.
It's I'll be happy. I'm not worried about concussions. It is what it is. These guys know full well what they're getting into. We've come a long way with the medicine and 420 and all that. I would take them too. I would love to trade down and get them. That would be the best case scenario if I had to do it. What's Mark saying?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're at 24 and you got Barton there, you got a bunch of those guys that you feel that, again, we've talked about this, and I know we're flogging a dead horse when we're saying this, but it's true. It's just like if there's 5 or so guys you sitting there, let's trade back. Let's get that 4th back. Let's get that 3rd because easily trading back in there, you can get that 3rd at least and then bring some value. That's where you're getting those extra picks. He's talking about his wide receiver that maybe wasn't in the plans before. Maybe that defensive end that we're talking about, that you can't walk away from, or maybe that running back that, hey, well, we were going to get a running back later on, but now we're going to go ahead and get Jonathan Brooks because now we're in position to do that with something behind.
I'm passing on Jonathan Brooks.
Are you, as we go further along?
As we're getting closer.
Because why?
I'm waiting on running back. I'm waiting on running back.
I agree.
Lemmerman said the same thing. As much as I like Trey Benson, I'm waiting. I'd rather get that dynamic. Maybe Ladd McConkey, or if he drops a little, or Malachi Corley. I'd rather go there and then get your running back in the 4th round.
Lloyd from USC. Yep.
Well, there's a lot of guys.
Mayan
if you
Williams.
don't get. I like Jalen Wright a lot out of Tennessee. Marshawn Lloyd out of USC.
Marshawn Lloyd. I like him.
You know who I like late? He was brought in on their 30 visit. I will have that full list. I'm going to start working on that because they take a lot of guys that come in on their 30 visits and their Dallas days. Don't forget about Jace McClellan, running back out of Alabama. He's 5'10", 221. Jace McClellan is a ball player.
Yeah.
He would fit really good in that rotation. There's a lot of guys. I mean, I'm not real. I don't know a lot about some of these guys. Like I'm hearing a lot of good things about Isaiah Davis, South Dakota State. He's a taller guy, 6 foot, 218. Ray Davis out of Kentucky. Now there's a guy out of Memphis. I wanted to see what his name was. I was hearing about it the other day, and that's where as you know, Blake Watson, running back out of Memphis. He's kind of like in the clone of a Pollard. So again, I'd rather not waste a pick on an early running back if we can help it. I'd rather work the lines, get a big boy on both sides of the lines, maybe get a linebacker, and then go running back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I think trading back is definitely a wise choice in the sense of getting the value. Picking up, again, twice if you can. If we're not doing much on that first night, I guess that's it just depends on what you're doing that next night, right? If you're picking instead of picking 2. If you end up picking 5 to 6, just because of the value that you're able to get, that's where you can sacrifice that first night because now you're getting the meat and the potatoes. I mean, but you've seen how we've nicely struck out in second round draft picks. Now, when you've seen some guys like Diggs obviously work out. With the combination of possibly of a Jimmy Johnson in that background, with how the scouting has been with Will McClay, I know we've had guys that have departed as well. Some of them have been because of they haven't worked out, and other ones because of the contract has been too big. That's where I'm with you, man. I know you bring up the fact that, that's what gives me a little bit of hope, is knowing that a guy like that is there to, he invented this. This is the reason why we have this big chart of what's valued at where, is because these guys revolutionized it and started it up. And I think that was what amazed me the most about Jimmy Johnson, was the fact that he was able to drop at a certain position and pick that guy at that position, knowing that he's going to be able to drop.
Yeah, I remember, man. I wish Thomas Garrett was in here because he would know. But I know our plan in the draft that we drafted Emmett, I don't believe necessarily was Emmett. Does anybody know what the original plan was? And when we I believe
they traded up, right? They traded up to get him.
I forget.
They traded up to get Emmett.
I know that originally that's who they wanted, but then they said, "Oh, okay, well, Emmett Smith, there he is," and they traded up to get him. I was listening to a show the other day, and I think that it was really neat when just how Jimmy Johnson attacked the NFL draft. He had a way of doing it, and he has a way of talking and looking at players on tape and just knowing if they're going to be ball players or not. It's a lost art, man. I don't know what's going on, but please, if I can wish for anything out of this whole draft, is if we get there and we see Jimmy Johnson in a suit in the draft. I don't think that'll happen. Ooh. I don't know that he's contractually allowed to be in the draft room.
Oh, you don't have to be anything.
But wouldn't that be fun, man?
But Michael, Michael Rizzo has this question. It says, "Hey Phil, what are you and Bryan think of the chances?"
I know, Oscar, it was good
because of seeing him drop in a lot of the drafts about Penn State's tackle following to the 24th pick. So he's in one of those things. I think he's one of those categories. He's a big boy. Of course, Penn State with their amazing running game they always have in general, but he's a big guy. I think with tackles, we've been talking about them. I mean, you're averaging between about 6'4" to 6'6", 3 something. That's a lot of the tackles. So I mean,
small hands. Though.
If he's a drop, I still that's one of those ones where you see him at that pick. Is it him, Barton? Because obviously, if he's on the board, there's still other tackles that I value very much are still on the board as well too. So I think you can drop back, still pick up another guy, even if it's not him. But to me, is he one of those guys that you're not moving away from?
Yeah, I agree, Coyote. Nowadays, I feel like the scouts get all caught up in how strong or fast they are. Hey, Coyote, you know what? I'm not going to sound like a curmudgeon, but do you know what the worst thing that's happened with this whole process is the NFL Combine. People look way too much about the NFL Combine. All you got to do nowadays, you walk into a film, the NFL draft department, they have a film of every play that a player has ever played in college. High school probably too. That's how you don't need to see somebody running around. I guess it's okay, but that's what's wrong. This whole combine.
How do you look like when there's nobody else is on the field and nobody's rushing at you? And exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you could go in there and say, "Hey, listen, I need to see Tanner Bortolini. I need every snap he had in college." Okay. Next day you come in, you get it, and you sit there and you watch it on a. I was in the Dallas Cowboys film room, with the big theater. I was sitting. I was sitting in one of the theater seats watching the big screen. They get. I mean, it's amazing what they all the information they can get on these players. So the draft, the combine has really screwed everything up because, oh my God, he ran a 4.3. Let's shoot him up the board. Who cares? Who really cares?
Well, I want you to answer Mike's question. Is Fasanu, is he a guy that you are not going to move from the 24th pick, the Penn State tackle? Is he a guy that
Fasanu, right? If he's there, you got to take him. Yes.
So he's one of those guys on your board that you're not moving from that spot and you're picking him. You like his body of work in that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. He's going top 10, so maybe top 15. He's not dropping.
Well, I mean, like somebody has to drop, and obviously there's certain guys that
Okay.
you know
You
that
wanna know
will
who could drop. All right. Do you want to know who could drop? Latu could drop because of health concerns. So if he's there at 24, I'm going to spit out a few names to fill. If Latu is there, arguably the best pass rusher. I'm not
see
saying the best player.
where that's where your edge. That's where you're talking about. You don't take an edge in the first round.
So,
Now it's like
you know
now
who else could drop to you? And I know you haven't seen it because he's so athletic. Dallas Turner could drop. Why? Because he don't have any pass rush moves. He's just a beast.
straight up power,
Which is good. You know, so a Brock Bowers could drop. Okay, do you need a tight end? I look at that as an opportunity to use that to trade. But I mean, I get it. If it's an offensive lineman, you know, what if Jared Verse? He's not getting past the Eagles, but what if Jared Verse drops? Would you take Jared Verse?
Yeah, I
I'm
probably
asking
would.
you.
Yeah. There's some guys. I mean, I would take Latu as well too. So I mean, there are some edge guys.
I don't know that they would though.
Yeah,
That's
of
the
course.
thing, and it's, you know, I can see it. It's all part of it, people. I'm gonna be upset probably because they're not gonna take somebody I want them to take, but I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, I don't have the medical, so it's like,
Yeah.
you know. Last year, I was freaking out that we didn't take Joey Porter Jr. Okay, well, nobody took him in the first round. How was I to know that? Every mock draft had him going anywhere from 10 to our pick. And they didn't have him dropping out of the first round. So, but Nolan Smith's a guy that was he was a combine warrior. There's a lot of players who look good at the combine and they get elevated. I'm not here to shit on Nolan Smith, Twiz, but I'm just saying he elevated his stock because of the combine. A lot of players do. Let's face it. Al Davis was famous for, you know, getting the fastest guy at the combine. You know, remember Henry Ruggs a few years ago?
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he was warranted being the number one receiver taken off the board, but they took him. So,
Yeah, that's why you wore.
I don't know. We'll see, man.
Yeah.
I got more questions now than answers.
Yeah. Then you're right there. Then you're ready for the draft, and you're perfectly set there for Cowboys football. So Bryan, we've already gone like an hour and 17 minutes or so into this talk draft. We could dive way deep into each position. We could go into the deep, you know, into the defense, the special. We could even talk special teams because that's a whole other thing itself. Next week, of course, we're going to have Space Cowboy, hopefully, right?
We'll
That's kind of have to reach back
him,
out.
man.
Yeah, and so there's a good chance we may have him on the broadcast. And, of course, doing a, first-round mock draft, what we think is going to happen. But, Bryan, man, like, you're going strong right now. What are you? How many players are you? People strong you are? Subs are.
Let me look. The last tally is, let's see, I am sitting at 82.99. 82.99. 8,299.
Nice, man. Look at
We're
you,
moving
man.
right along here. So,
Yes.
I'm going to try and do my first round mock tomorrow. I'll upload it sometime in the morning, and you'll see that early afternoon tomorrow. I'm going to try and do our first Zoom call tomorrow, too. We'll see. Maybe we'll do it at 3 o'clock or something, somewhere around there. If nobody hops in on the Zoom, that's fine. And then I'll just do a live for a little bit or whatever. We'll talk. But stay tuned for that.
Benny, yeah. Bryan is getting big time, man. By the time you know he's going to be on one of those talk shows talking his shit.
No, hell no. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough looking for that. But I hear you. Thank you so much. I'll be happy to just stay on YouTube, man. And hang out with you people.
Well, Bryan, before we know it, man, we're going to be over there rubbing elbows with the NFL draft people, seeing our Cowboy content creators as well, too. I think I get excited about that. Seeing Detroit, I've never been to Detroit. I'm seeing the transformations as things are happening, whether it's on Instagram,
I'm
any of that
excited,
stuff.
Man.
I am, too.
Well, it's different from last year because last year we were a ways away, right? And,
thank you, Oscar.
Kansas City's a different type of town. It's kind of an old but new. It was an interesting town. I didn't dislike it, but it was interesting. Detroit, downtown Detroit. We're in the middle of the city, and we're literally a few blocks away. We're less than a mile away. We most likely can walk to the damn draft.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like that.
That's going to be fun, man. I'm looking very much forward to it.
Yeah, the whole trip in general. So, but by the time we know it, it will be we'll be right in front of each other, doing our camera thing. Again, we have no plan. I think last year we didn't even know what to expect. So this year we're kind of like, hey, we're gonna let just things happen.
I have a plan, but it's loose. We'll see.
Very loose.
We'll see. I
All
gotta
right.
really sit down and work on it. I'll have time.
Well,
when
guys,
is your last day at work, by the way? You working next Friday? Are you working Monday? Before we go.
I'll probably work that Monday before we go. So I probably won't show up on that Tuesday or whatever. I got a big, huge group and stuff coming in right at the end of the month. So,
so I have a few days. See, I'm different. Next Saturday, a week from today.
Thank
I'm
you,
done
Joe.
work.
I love it. So.
So.
So, Bryan, man, I appreciate you coming through, man. You're on your way. I really am, again, proud of you of
Thanks,
what you've
Joe.
done. The stuff that you come up with, working with Mark. I know you're pulling him along, because Mark needs that help, right?
Oh yeah, Mark needs all the help I can give him.
Exactly.
It's been a great friendship with everybody. It's a great mesh of people. Really is.
So, Bryan, I appreciate you coming through, man, and I appreciate you guys sharing, talking, anything NFL draft. That's what I want to talk about, not about the drama that goes along with being a Dallas Cowboys fan. So, guys, one thing I love that there's no drama on is not forgetting to do what?
Ring that bell, please.
Damn right, guys. You have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Who are you?
Like always, I'm your host, Primetime Phil.
What kind of a stupid name is that? Oh, they let you pick any name you want when you get down there.
And what is your name, sir?
Well, I told you my name, man.
Sir, what's your name?
It's my co-host, Gametime Bryan.
Cool name. Superpowers?
I haven't relaxed. I'm ready for a wild show.
What would you say you do here?
I don't know what it is yet, but it could be a lot of things. So we'll see.
This doesn't make any sense.
Nah, nothing makes sense here, man.
You thinking what I'm thinking, part?
Yeah, let's rage.
Yeah, okay, cool. I don't need the PBS special.
What the fuck is this piece of
Can you say what the did I do last night?